Well, then, welcome to another episode of the Two Shots Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Garcia, and on today's show, we're going to be joined by the one, the only, Jonas Clark. Jonas, how are you doing, sir?
Joe, I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks. Thank goodness there's not more of me, huh?
Oh, man, I don't know if we could handle more than one Jonas Clark, dude,
I don't
because
think so.
we got some things to discuss, and let's go ahead and start off the show real quick and just get this out of the way. Jonas, you're going to be maybe leaving us for greener pastures pretty soon. It was a sad day when I found out that you did have your last day in the studio with the at the iHeartRadio station, and you weren't going to be there anymore. I almost shed a little tear for you, Jonas.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. I know we're gonna move on here, but thanks to everybody, and thanks to you, Joe, for all the support and listening that you've done, interacting with us, and really appreciate it. It was the city of San Antonio that made it feel like home and made me very comfortable on air and my first on air opportunity.
Yeah, it was amazing to have you. You were so much fun to be around. Like when we'd call into the station, we're already used to your familiar voice. Be like, hey, call into the Chris Duel show. Hey Jonas, hey Joe, what's up? What do you want to talk about, bud? So I
Right.
want to talk to Chris about this. It's like calling an old family member. I was like, Jonas isn't gonna be there no more, man. What am I gonna do?
Well, you'll be in good hands with, I know Sam Freese was filling in for me this weekend or this last week. Paul Kidwell, very, very good guys. So the show goes on, with Chris and with the sports grind, and I'm excited for them to continue what they're doing, and I'm excited to go on and do my own thing here too.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye out, for you wherever you land and whatever you do. I'll make sure that everybody goes out there, especially me, and I'll go ahead and support you and keep an eye on your career, man, because we're looking for great things out of you, Jonas.
Well, I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks. I want to make the city proud.
Oh yeah, you've already done that plus some, man. So kudos to
Thank
you.
you.
But let's go ahead and talk about some Spurs basketball right off the bat because this is a sports podcast, and one of our
Oh
primary
yeah.
topics is talking Spurs basketball. So earlier today, word broke out from Shams Charania that the San Antonio Spurs are going to be negotiating a new contract with DeMar DeRozan. So that was interesting, because DeMar is in the final year of his contract with the San Antonio Spurs. So by negotiating, they hope to that both sides can come to some type of an agreement, which I think is a good move because I think the Spurs are interested to know if DeMar really does in fact want to stay here, or if he's not, happy, he's going to say, "Hey, you know what? It's been fun, it's been real, but I really want to go play somewhere else." Maybe the Spurs have an idea of what they need to do. Maybe they need to either find more money if they really want to keep him, or maybe they should consider trading him if that's the case to make both sides happy. If he does in fact decide he doesn't want to play here, but my by all indications, Jonas, my feeling tells me though both sides will come to an agreement, and he's going to remain a San Antonio Spur. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Joe, I'd really like to see it. I'm a big fan of DeMar DeRozan. What he did in Toronto, his time there, uh, slasher score. I don't think he's as clutch as I want and somebody that I'm going to be giving a lot of money to. But his leadership, we got a lot of young guys on this team. And to have another all-star that kind of plays their game, it's one thing to have LaMarcus Aldridge on the team, but for a Lonnie Walker the fourth or a Keldon Johnson, Quindary Weatherspoon, even a DeJounte Murray as he continues to come into his own, and Derek White, uh, DeMar DeRozan's skill set fits their game more than it does LaMarcus, with fitting their game. So the opportunity to have him there for them to watch and learn from, I think, could be really huge. The major questions for me are how long are we going to sign him for, and how much money are we going to give him? Because there's the years. I mentioned those young guys. They're going to need their own shot here coming up, Joe, and we can't sink ourselves into salary cap hell with these young contracts we're going to have to pay in a couple years.
Yeah, like we kind of did with Paul Gasol and that overinflated contract. Or like Bart likes to give Patty Mills a hard time all the time. We come into the season, he's like, that Patty Mills, is his favorite topic because
Well,
we kind of overpaid for him a little.
just a little bit. But the thing is, and I think we'll probably overpay a little bit with DeMar DeRozan, as he will be completing his second year, there is a certain price that you have to pay for the corporate knowledge, right? So giving Pau Gasol that extension was a part of that. He has the championship blood. He's been all the way. He's raised a trophy. He knows what it takes, and then he's also was a Spur long enough to understand the system and coach it to other guys while playing within the system. And same thing with Patty Mills. So I think that as DeMar DeRozan becomes more comfortable, and that's going to be the question of him in this next role, is are you willing to take on a little bit more of a mentorship role and teach, not just perform?
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things I wanted to point out, DeMar DeRozan has a player option through the 2020-21 season. It's
Yep.
worth about $27.7 million. So that is a good chunk of change there. So it's either, hey, we're gonna pay, like you said, we're gonna overpay. We're happy with him. We're gonna keep him, or the Spurs need to decide, hey, can we get some value for him while he's still, you know, has some trade value. In other words, what are we gonna
Oh
get
yeah.
for him? Are they gonna get picks? Are they gonna, maybe get a couple picks or another player that is comparable plus maybe some salary relief? We really don't know what the scenarios could be, but at least they're learning what's going to happen or test the waters early on before the season even starts. That way they at least have a gauge of where to go, because in the past with some of these other players like free agency, I hate to bring up that Marquise Morris situation, but that one was dirty. He did us wrong. He didn't give a heads up and any indication that he had changed his mind, and the Spurs had already made that trade, by letting Davis Bertans go. We could have used him this season. If we would have still had Davis plus all those other players, this Spurs team I think would have been really, really good. But it is what it is. It's a learning situation. So I think that the Spurs are playing it smart right now, as they should. As they should. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what's gonna transpire here. But you kind of like where everything's going, Jonas. That they are at least negotiating. That's moving in the right direction. Correct?
I mean, most definitely, and it's just like any owner or front office team in sports, even with players with behavioral issues like an Antonio Brown, you still have to talk to the guy. He's super talented. He could bring something to your team. You got to turn over every rock. And so even though DeMar DeRozan might not provide everything that you need, if you already have him, he's a top tier free agent. You've got to at least talk to the guy. You got to see where he's thinking, where his head's at, and you've got to ask. And I think that when you go back to the Marcus Morris, at the end of the day, we know he just wanted money.
Yeah.
It's about hitting free agency as soon as possible. And I think that the Spurs front office got a little ahead of themselves in terms of trading Davis Bertans. I know, they did it to clear to make the money situation work, but until he's ready to sign on the dotted line, and you've got Marcus Morris over here, you just got to call up Washington, trade Bertans, and he can sign on the line here. I think they maybe got a little ahead of themselves. He didn't seem very committed.
Yeah. So in other words, don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Exactly, and I think that's a situation to be cautious with DeMar DeRozan here
Yeah.
too. So he can, and I like the guy. I think he's a very good guy. I think he has a lot of character, and so I don't think he's one to kind of mislead the Spurs in the way that Marcus Morris did. But you have to kind of think, he's got goals that he wants to hit in his career too, and another opportunity might come up. And so if he says, yeah, I'm looking to stay a Spur, but I don't want to sign anything right now. I want to see how the year plays out. That's a little bit of a red flag to me. And if at the trade deadline, I'm still shopping his name around at that point.
Yeah. Y'all can read a little bit more about this topic on the Spurs, discussing a contract extension for DeMar DeRozan. There's an article that was written by our good friends over at Project Spurs by my friend Michael A. De Leon. Shout out to you. So make sure you all go check that out at projectspurs.com. So moving on to our next topic. And we like to have fun on this show, and we can't always take ourselves too seriously, because then that's no fun,
Right?
So we asked a question earlier, and I got some responses back. and I'm gonna have to ask you because we always put you in those nerd discussions that we do have on Twitter. Some of them get a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Especially my buddy Jeff Garcia. When you start talking Star Wars and you start talking about the new trilogy and you start mentioning you know, the Last Jedi, that's like, I mean, that's a
Oh
sore
yeah,
spot for him. Don't even get him started on any of
and
that.
the Rise of Skywalker. He's already
Yeah.
pissed off.
Yeah, he's not gonna go, dude. If he goes on day one and it doesn't meet his high expectations, he's gonna leave midway through the film. I told him he's probably gonna throw his soda at the screen and get kicked out. So it's gonna
Well,
be one
I
of those.
I think it's the same thing when you talk about, you have to look at all players available.
Yeah,
If you're a Star Wars fan, you've got to look at all movies available. So I
yeah.
think that I'd take that bet, Joe. I think that Jeff is going to stay for the whole movie, but we can talk about that later.
Hey, well, you know what? Maybe we should take bets, like they do in Vegas. Will Jeff make
How,
it through the movie?
and at what point would he leave? You could just go ahead and set different benchmarks. First hour, do the
Right.
over under 60 minutes, stuff like
What's the
that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
spread? What's the
Let's
spread look like?
we got to call Vegas.
That would be something. We need to do that. Make it legit and like have him right there. Hey man, you need to mark it. What time did you leave? Because we got bets going on here, brother.
There you go.
Hey, but seriously, we're gonna go ahead and talk about Spurs and Star Wars, which is kind of funny, kind of weird. I know we're like that, but we're gonna ask the question: if you're flying the Millennium Falcon, one of the iconic ships from the Star Wars series, and it always has a co-pilot. The pilot is Han Solo. Co-pilot has always been Chewbacca. You're Chewie. Okay, so let's say you're Han Solo and you're flying the Millennium Falcon. You're going into battle, a heated battle. At that. Who are you gonna have as your co-pilot? And I said you have to pick one of the Spurs, either current or former. Who would you go? Who would be your co-pilot? Who are you gonna go into battle with, Jonas?
Well, not just because he's 7 foot tall, but I think it would be cool to go with Jakob Pertl, and
Oh wow.
that might seem out of left field, but he's a guy who's willing to do the dirty work. He hustles very hard, and he's reliable, and I think that he's showing himself that way too. So I think it would be really interesting to co-pilot it up with Jakob Pertl, Jakob and Jonas tearing across outer space.
Hey man, but if you want to have fun and you want to do it in style, and be driving around the Millennium Falcon drinking some nice coffee, you would call on Boris Diaw, and that was one of the choices that somebody had sent in. They said they want to fly across the galaxy in the Millennium Falcon
Nice.
with their co-pilot Boris Diaw because he's a cool cat. I'm like, yeah, I could
Hell
see
yeah,
that.
I'm down for it.
I could see that. Be like, hey man, where are we gonna go next? Whoever has the best coffee. I need to get some refills. And he
I
likes
don't,
to drink
I
wine,
don't know.
so go ahead.
There you go. I don't know what kind of Joe they or like coffee Joe that they have on Tatooine, but I don't know if I'm interested.
I don't know, man. If you go into a place like that, it's gonna be mixed with a little liquor, the way Hutch likes to drink it.
Hey, I'm okay with that Irish coffee. Let's do
Irish
it.
coffee. Me and him had a discussion about that the last time I saw him. If he drinks coffee, he's gonna put a little something something in it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just
So
you put a little half a shot of whiskey in there, starts the day off right.
it depends on what kind of whiskey we're talking about. Because if it's cheap whiskey, it's gonna be a long day. But if it's the good stuff, it'll be all right.
I don't drink cheap whiskey, Joe, so
No,
I wouldn't know.
there's my man. That's my man right there. I don't drink the cheap stuff either, man. You can tell the
Right
difference
on.
right away.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
It has a certain odor to it. Let's just put it like that.
Just a touch. So who are you going to ride across the edges of outer space with, Joe?
My co-pilot will be Tim Duncan, man. I got to go with the
There you go.
goat, the big fundamental. He's a big time nerd, just like me. He's old reliable, not really flashy, doesn't say a lot, but that's somebody you want to go to battle with because he's got your back. So I'm gonna go to battle. I'm gonna have my co-pilot be Tim Duncan, and that was another
Nice.
choice as well. Tim Duncan. I don't know who Jeff picked. Let me go ahead and check out who Jeff said he would need his co-pilot to be. I think Jeff was the guy who said Boris Diaw.
Oh, right on.
So it doesn't surprise me, man, because Jeff is like that, dude. Yeah, I think it was Jeff.
Very.
It was Jeff that said he wanted Boris Diaw to be his co-pilot. So, oh well. Two of us got Timmy. You got Jakob Portal. So it'd be interesting to get some feedback from some of the other guys as well, and see who they chose. I wonder who Hutch would choose. That's an interesting one.
That would be interesting. Um,
I think he'll choose Leia, dude. I don't know. Something just tells me, man.
yeah, but you don't get to choose Leia. You got to choose somebody off the
Oh yeah,
Spurs.
yeah. No, but I'm saying, Hutch, dude. He would say, "I'm gonna choose Leia." He would throw a little curveball at people, man. You know?
I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you. Well, if
So,
he gets to have Leia, then I want Padme,
here we
and
go.
we'll make a
Here we
deal on
go. Here we go. That's gonna be an after hours discussion there.
that.
So
There you go.
let me go ahead and ask you, man. I gotta ask you. With
Uh-huh.
all the return of all these players that we have this season, for the San Antonio Spurs, we have DeJounte coming back. It looks like we're gonna have the normalcy, where now you're gonna have your shooting guards playing traditional shooting guards, and Bryn Forbes, and you're gonna have Patty Mills return to
Hmm.
that shooting guard position, because now we have two legit point guards. You have not only DeJounte, but you also have Derek White, who's been proven and doing. He did a great job last season as well.
Hmm.
Given all these things, we have some new acquisitions. We got a little bit of muscle now with DeMar Carroll. So
Love
how do
that pickup.
yeah, that's a great solid pickup. I love it too, because I think it gives us a good solid veteran who knows how to play the game, someone who plays really good defense, can get up there and give us some good rebounds or give us some chances to get some
Hmm.
second and third chance opportunities, which we're getting killed on the boards last year, Jonas, with all that, second and third chance opportunities. Given all these acquisitions, what do you think the Spurs are going to do this season? How do you think they're going to pan out as far as like their record goes or their seeding when it comes to post play?
Well, Joe, I don't want to make my record prediction before we get out of training camp this year
Okay, you
because
got to see them first.
um, last year took a lot of it took a major hit in training camp, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping the guys the best health possible. We
Okay.
have a great staff, and it seems like everybody's coming in healthy. Even Derek White got limited during the FIBA World Cup, so hopefully he's going to come in fresh and ready to go. But I think that in the very competitive West, this is still definitely a playoff team. Now, I don't know who those eight are going to be. Again, it's a long season. There's a lot of things to play out yet. I want to see how some of these super teams, gel together. How many minutes do Kawhi and Paul George play to start out with, and what do they look like when they're on the court together? Houston, and I know lots of people are saying that Houston just has way too much firepower. They're gonna get that number one seed, but they could implode from just all the drama in the locker room, and I think that if they wanted to be successful, they would bring Russ off the bench, but that's not going to happen. Uh, just so much to play out yet, and I'm interested to see how rosters shake out. At that point, I'd be interested to make more confident in making a prediction, but
Yeah.
I think that this is still definitely a playoff team. We've got the perfect combination of youth and veteran leadership. Like you said, we got a little stronger, a little tougher. Pop got that nasty he's looking for.
Yeah.
Um, Losing Davis Bertans and kind of trading his 3-point production for the lesser 3-point production of DeMar Carroll. How that registers in today's NBA is going to be very interesting to see. Pop still doesn't seem committed to the three ball, and when you look at championships, three balls win, and you have to be able to confidently shoot it. And I think that was what gave the Raptors the edge over the Warriors. Of course, Kevin Durant being down really helped too,
Yeah.
but especially you go right into game one and they came out with the ball and they were putting up threes, and you put the Warrior, and when you can take that kind of lead early, you're forcing the Warriors to take threes rather than taking their confident 3-point shot. They're being forced into it and they can't quite keep up. So the Spurs have a major test ahead of them. So Joe.
Yeah, I think they do. But I'll go ahead and give you my prediction. What I'm thinking, given everything that happened last season, given the pieces that they have this season, returning of some familiar faces and Dejounte Murray, I actually
Mhm.
expect the Spurs to win anywhere from 50 to 52 games. I don't
There
think
you
they're
go.
going to go on a tear and win nothing crazy like 60 plus games. I think that's out of the realm of possibility there. Could it happen? It could, but more realistically, 51 to 52 wins is
Hmm.
a realistic expectation. I think I still expect them to be there, anywhere from the sixth all the way to the, seventh, even eighth spot in the West, because it's going to be a tightly contested race. You have a lot of other teams who are solid teams as well. In Utah, you have the Clippers. We don't know how well they're going to do. So there's the West is going to be a tight race. Even Sacramento is geared up to make some noise this season. So you have those types of young and upcoming teams. Even the Denver Nuggets, they were solid
Hmm.
last year. I believe they're going to continue that this season as well. So Portland Trailblazers, they didn't really lose much. So I kind of still expect them to be where they're at. Kind of hanging out around the, maybe the fourth, the fifth seed, somewhere in that nature. So we'll just have to see how everything pans out. But I'm looking forward nonetheless to everybody else. We're now with the start of Spurs training camp. That Spurs basketball is close. It's going to be right around the corner. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm marking my calendar. And we also got the return of Taro. Our good friend Taro Katani's coming.
I saw that.
Yeah, he's going to be here from October the 22nd, I believe he said, to October the 29th. So for at least the first
Nice.
three home games. So he's probably going to make a return to the studio with Chris. And of course, we have a meeting with Mayor Ron Nirenberg because, Taro is now good friends with Mayor Ron Nirenberg. So,
He's an international ambassador for San Antonio.
yeah. So me and Chris just follow his league now. Oh, you got us a meeting with the mayor. Okay. We're just going along with you, man.
Right?
We're going along for the ride, Taro. So,
Right
with all
on.
that said, we're going to go ahead and move on here and talk about some NFL football. That Thursday night football game between the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. That was a
What a good one.
very interesting game, man. It was so good. I didn't want it to end. They were just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, even all the way into the fourth quarter. It was a battle with like
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like 3 minutes, somewhere in that nature. Left, a little less than 3 minutes left. You
Hmm.
get, Seattle gets the ball back. It looks like, oh man, they just need to get a first down, and this game is over. They already iced it. They didn't get the first down. I think they came up short. It was 3rd and 2, and it was an interesting play call because they let Russell Wilson go back in the pocket like he was going to pass, but at the last minute the blitz came. He got caught. He didn't have nowhere to go or he couldn't run, so he kind of just throws the ball sideways, little shuffle pass, and that was it. They were the Rams defense was right on the Seattle
Hmm.
Seahawks player. I forgot who he flipped the ball to, and that was it. They had to punt the ball on fourth down. I mean, they came up short at 3rd and 2 with about, I think it was a minute and 40 seconds left. The Rams get the ball back and they start marching down the field, man. It was interesting. They just couldn't be stopped, and then they get in field goal position. Then they had a penalty, so they lose a couple yards there. And they go back, I think was it 5 yards, and you're like, oh, here we go, man.
Hmm.
And then there you go. The Seattle Seahawks defense held them in check. Then the Rams kicker comes out. He's in field goal range. He's well within his field goal range. You know, looks like,
Hmm.
man, this is gonna be money. He kicks the ball wide right, and that's all she wrote.
Rough to be a kicker, man.
You could see his look on his face, and that's what I felt bad for the guy, man, because
No, yeah.
it's there, dude. You've made this. You can make this kick, and your money. You go home. You're only down 1 point. At that point, Seattle was just beating the Rams, 30-29. I think was what the final
Hmm.
score was. So if he would have
Yep.
kicked that field goal, it would have put him up, what, 2 points? 32-30 would have probably been the final score. 31-30, something like that.
Right, yeah.
And, and I was just like, man, can these Seattle Seahawks have any more luck, man? As hard as they played, and they come out with the win like that, basically the Rams gave them this one. I mean, what did you think about the game? I thought it was fun.
I think it was great. And what I was most impressed to see was, I mean, wow, Russell Wilson, right?
Oh
You
man.
know, he could, and I know he had something like 6 incompletions last night, but he could not have put that ball in better places for some of those catches, including that first one to Ty Lockett. Uh,
Oh man.
Even the announcers thought that he was throwing the ball away, and Ty keeps his toes in bounds, makes the catch. It was huge, but I think that what's really interesting, and good teams will win the game in the end, Joe, and the Rams are kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
They lost to the Buccaneers. Not to toot my own horn, but I kind of picked that win to happen for the Buccaneers. Um, but then you would think they'd come back and play Seattle a little more tough, and they couldn't do it. So uh, do they have a problem right now? I think that uh, this is the time to find out. I was listening to the Monday Morning Quarterback last week, and their podcast, and they mentioned just how Sean McVay was continuing to run the same offense as just as needed. He didn't really
Yeah.
change a whole lot of things up from last year because they were kind of on a roll this year. And we're going to try to make you, just beat the games. I won't change it up until you show me you can't stop it. And then it gets stopped against the Buccaneers and now stopped by the Seahawks. Is LA in trouble? That's the question I think we need to all be asking ourselves.
Well, I heard Jared Goff talking earlier today when I was listening to Mike Taylor as I was dropping off my kids at school,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd put a quick soundbite of him talking to the media, right after that game, and he was saying, hey, the Patriots started at 3-2, and they still were able to go into the playoffs, and they won the Super Bowl. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
believe that his team is in trouble right now at 3-2, but you know, one of the things that did stick out at me in yesterday's game was the lack of the run game. The running game kind of all but
Yeah.
dissipated, and that had been the Rams' go-to. You had Gurley, on a tear, doing great, and all of a sudden now you're in this new season. They're 3-2, which isn't a bad record at all. They just had
No,
a bit of bad luck. Maybe they can get things going again. It
they're
doesn't
still
mean that
second in the division. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't mean that their season's over. It's just they had a little slide. Um, but the lack of the run game has been a head scratcher to me. Have you noticed that as well?
Well, I think it's not just the lack of the run game, but it's the lack of Gurley.
Yeah.
Last year in the postseason, they went out and got C.J. Anderson, and he really helped them make their way to the Super Bowl, even in the controversial NFC Championship game. He produced a lot, and then he was just all of a sudden released again this offseason. They didn't bring him back when we already know that Gurley has possible arthritis in his knees, and he's on a pitch count and stuff like that. He was running really well at times last night, but I think that Seattle showed why there's still a defense to be reckoned with. You know, Gurley has had a really slow season this year, and I think that when you have a franchise quarterback in Jared Goff, and they've gone out and they've acquired all these weapons in terms of keeping Cooks and Robert Woods, and of course you have Cooper Kupp. They got Everett out there now. The passing game should be doing a lot better. They just need to use the run to open the pass, and I
Yeah.
think McVay's going to be. I think McVay's going to be okay, and I'm not really worried about that running game either. Gurley's not who he was. He's not a rookie of the. He's not what he was in his rookie of the year campaign, but he's still a very serviceable running back. Um, if this streak continues where he can't perform, but I mean the guy's still punching in touchdowns. He had two last night, and at the end of the day, scores matter.
Yeah, it does. So even though he might be a little banged up, it's to be expected. He's, like you said, he's not a rookie anymore. So you're gonna get some
Right.
miles. You're gonna get some miles on you. It's part of the game, especially at the running back position. You
And he
take a
didn't
lot
come
of
out
hits.
healthy from college either.
Yeah.
He already had the knee injury from college, so um, it's just showing. And I think that this is just kind of showing even more why the Cowboys were in the right to pay for Zeke Elliott, who has remained healthy his whole career, knock on wood, came out of school healthy, and he's going on. So when you talk about the comparison between him and Gurley, I think that we're starting to really see why the Cowboys do have the better back, and unfortunately they had to pay for him. But the
Yeah.
Rams will turn around the running game. I really think they will.
Yeah, hopefully they do, because you have a lot of Rams fans who are on the skids right now. But I believe that there's still hope for this team, and they're going to be right there in the thick of things again when it's all said and done. So they're
For
going to go
sure.
ahead and right that ship. So another thing I wanted to talk about is my Dallas Cowboys. As you can see, I am sporting the Dallas Cowboy hat. I have on my lucky shirt with the big
Mm-hmm.
Dallas star on it. And yes, I'm still a Dallas Cowboy fan, even though they lost to the New Orleans Saints. I know Dylan gave me a hard time because he says I was running my mouth doing all this talking. And I was like, I was just having some fun with them. It's all in good taste.
I hear you. It's and I don't think it's any loss to hang your head about.
Yeah.
It was still a great. Talk about another great game.
Oh, yeah. It was a great game. It was a good defensive showing from both sides.
Hmm.
Unfortunately for the Cowboys, they just couldn't get nothing going on the really offensively. They had the one touchdown and then they had the field goal, and that was about it. Kudos to the Saints. They still found a way to win, even though the defense was playing really good for the Dallas Cowboys. But the Saints defense, they're no slouches either, and they played a hell of a game. So
Right.
it's one of these games that if you're not a true fan of football, it's low scoring. You're going to be, oh, this game is boring. I don't like it. But that's what football's all about, man. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though it wasn't the outcome I wanted. But this week, the Cowboys are going to be facing Aaron Rodgers and the Green
Yeah.
Bay Packers. They don't have a good track record against the Packers, especially against the great one and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, I still remember him killing us when the Cowboys were in the playoff game. With
Oh yeah.
less than what I think a minute left, and they left too much time on the clock, and sure enough, he came back to bite us in the ass, and that's all she wrote. So I think this is going to be another game. Both teams have a similar record, and they're playing they're playing great football, basketball. I'm saying, great football this season. It's going to be a good matchup. What are you expecting to see, and how do you think the game's going to end?
Well, I think it's going to be a big time defensive battle, for sure. You have the sec. I think that second unit of the Cowboys when you get back into the linebacking core and how they're going to match up against the Packers is going to be the defensive battle for the Cowboys. Now on the Packers side of things, the Cowboys are without Tyron Smith. So load that left side and see if you can just eat all day on sacks because Dak's going to have to get that out of the pocket. And
That
I
was a
think that
big loss. That was a big loss too. That's a big boy out there.
it's a big loss. And so what I think, and I think that Kellen Moore knows this. I'm not going to pretend that I'm an offensive coordinator, but he's got to bring Dak out of that pocket a little bit more because he's not going to be able to sit back there. Because
Yeah.
even Lyle Collins is coming in a little bit banged up this week.
Yeah.
So you've got to get the ball out quick, and you've got to be more creative than you were last week against the Saints. We've seen a very, very, very dynamic Cowboys offense this year, and they get a little cutesy with some fun plays, and it helps keep the defense on their heels.
Yeah.
And they've just got to get back to doing that. I don't know what the game plan changed, what they were seeing, what Kellen Moore was seeing differently, and why he was calling that Saints game the way he did. But I mean, it's just got to be more creative because otherwise, you've got Mike Pettin up there as defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, and he's very experienced. He turned the Bills into what they were for a while on the defensive side of the ball, and he's had a great success this year. And you're talking about an undefeated Packers team, so I really believe that at the end the Cowboys will win this game.
Oh
But
my
it's got
God.
but it has to come from the play calling and of course health. They've got to get out of this game healthy and they can't lose any more bodies.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Make your bets.
The Cowboys will win by, I would take
Three.
3 points or more. 3 points or more.
I knew you were gonna say three. It's gonna be by a field goal. It's probably not gonna be a high scoring affair. I think that it's gonna be another low scoring game. I think the defenses for both teams are gonna really step up. It might be the same. We might see the 13-10 game again. So this time hopefully it goes in the Cowboys' favor. I really don't know if it will or it won't, but I got to tell you, man, for some reason, Jonas, I got to go with my gut on this one. I am a true diehard Cowboys fan. I love my boys, but I feel like the Green Bay Packers are going to be a little bit too much for them, man. I think
Oh,
Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way. They're going to leave too much time on the clock, and once again, he's going to beat them, and it's going to be in favor of the Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers will beat the Cowboys 13-10. It's going to be a close game, but I got to give the edge to the Packers, man, because they've proven that they're not afraid to play in Jerry's world.
I hear you. And Joe, I'll tell you how confident I am that the Cowboys will win this game. I'm benching Aaron Rodgers
Oh,
in favor of Kyler Murray this week. I think Kyler Murray is going to have a better week in terms of fantasy in my league than Aaron Rodgers will against this Cowboys defense. I'm buckling
wow.
down on it. They've just got. I just need them to perform for me. The defense has to show up, but the Cowboys will score at least 2 touchdowns.
You think so? I'm only giving them a
I do.
touchdown and a field goal, man.
Oof, that's brutal.
That's brutal. Unless Zeke can get something going, with that run game, or maybe they should start, passing to him a little bit more. He's proven that he's got some great catching ability.
He caught the ball about 10 times last week. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of, again, it was all in check down passes because the Saints secondary had Amari. You look at Marshawn Lattimore and he had Cooper just covered.
Yeah.
Michael Gallup should be back this week. I'm hopeful for that. I'm sliding him up into my starting lineup from one of my fantasy leagues this week. So I'm really hoping that we get to see him back out there, see all the weapons that'll help Randall Cobb remain open. This could be a statement game for the
Yeah.
Cowboys and renew America's faith that seems to have been lost
An
after the
America's
Saints.
team. An America's team.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think Kellen Moore just got a little complacent against that Saints defense in that last game. I think he got scared. He wanted to try to protect Dak. He didn't want him to get hurt
Mm.
because they were coming at him fast and furious. I think the average amount of time they had, and they even showed a graphic up there on the screen, was about 2 seconds. A little over 2 point something seconds, 2.34 or 2.4 seconds, or somewhere around there, is the time that both quarterbacks had to throw the ball. 2 seconds
Hmm.
is really fast. You got to scour the field, see who the open man is, and just try to get the ball out to them as soon as you can. And that's, I
Oh
think,
yeah.
is what scared Kellen Moore. He didn't want Dak to get hurt, so I think that's why he was calling the plays that he did so conservatively. And kudos again to the Saints. They did a wonderful job with their defense, and it forced the Cowboys, I think, to change their strategy. Now, will it happen again? It could if the Green Bay Packers play really, amazing defense against the Cowboys. It could cause them to change their strategy for the game, and maybe we'll see a return back to that horrible conservative play calling. I hope not, but we could, man. And then everybody's going to be going at Kellen Moore. Oh, he needs to be fired, and here we go again. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't. It's still a little early to lose faith in Kellen Moore.
yeah,
The more that teams see his offense, the more they're going to be able to make adjustments to it. It's just his job to then, in turn, make adjustments to their adjustments,
yeah,
and it's a growing period for him. So he's got a very good quarterback that he has in Dak Prescott that he has a great relationship with. The two of them have fantastic communication in terms of putting together the game plan. And I think they're going to grow from that last loss, and that loss could be a blessing in disguise because there's a lot of pressure that mounts as you remain undefeated. There's a lot of pressure that mounts on that, and so it was a good thing that I think that they took it against a good team rather than losing to somebody like the Cardinals or something coming up down the road.
Yeah. So we're reaching the end here of our time with you here, Jonas. So before we go ahead and end this, I made a quick joke that I put it out on Twitter. That Jonas Clark's new endeavor is going to be Bigfoot hunting. There's a reason I put that out there, man. When I'm talking with Jonas, and like, hey man, got to get you on the show, and he's like, sure man, no doubt, and we tell him, hey man, we do everything through Skype here on this show. We're real heavy Skype users.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonas is like giving me his username and everything on Skype. He goes, I think my profile picture is a Bigfoot. And I was like, no, it is not. And I looked, and I'm going to show everybody. It, in fact, is a Bigfoot. You can see it right there. It's a Bigfoot.
Yep.
That made me bust out laughing when I saw it on Skype. I'm like, I can only imagine. Jonas Clark's next endeavor, Bigfoot hunter.
I'm not gonna harm him when I find him. I'll lay safe traps and I'll bring the Jack's Link beef jerky so he'll pop out.
So you're either gonna run with Sasquatch or you're gonna get eaten by Sasquatch.
He doesn't want to eat me. Come on, I'll just take a bath in hot sauce. I'll be too spicy for him.
And you're gonna have good whiskey, so that might turn him your way, dude. You might just be out there eating some beef jerky and drinking whiskey by the fire, dude.
Yeah, I'm getting all marinated up, I guess. Yeah.
There you go. All right, man. So right before we go ahead and end this show, where can everybody get a hold of you on social media and talk sports and life and just about anything else with you?
Well, of course, on Twitter, I'm there all the time. Opinions on Browns, Spurs, anything NFL, even as we come down the postseason with baseball, who's going to win that championship. And I'm really excited for some Rampage hockey here locally. Of course, be keeping an eye on the Blues there. So at Jark Clonas, JARKCLONAS. Follow me on Twitter. If you're interested, there's not a whole lot of content on my Instagram, but my Instagram is my name really is Jonas. I've got some pictures on there from going to Renaissance festivals, which is a hobby of mine, or from my days in working with the promotions department in radio, all kinds of musical artists I've met and stuff like that. And I hope to get some more content going on here as I get to explore some more of San Antonio. So
yeah,
those are the places to find me for sure, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on. Next time I have you on the show, we're gonna have you your own intro music like they do with Andy Everett. We got to do the Weezer. We got to do the Weezer song. My name is Jonas.
Okay. I'm 100% down for that. I thought you were gonna say you're gonna play some Jonas Brothers, and I was getting worried there.
No, man, I wouldn't do that to you, my friend. we gotta stay classy here, man. We're gonna get you some Weezer, dude, and you like Weezer. I know you're down with that.
I do. I actually got to see him. I know we're wrapping up really quick. Cool story. I got to see him last year.
Yeah.
Play up in Austin with my sister. She flew into town. So we saw him perform at the Austin 360 Amphitheater, and they played "My Name Is Jonas" as one of their last songs, and I just basked in it because I could hear them singing to me.
Yeah, that's my song. You're over there with the beer in your hand. My name is Jonas.
Exactly, and it's "My Name Is Jonas." So that's why my name really is Jonas on Instagram.
Yeah, there we go, man. For real, dude. Next time we get you on, we're gonna have that intro music queued up just for you, Jonas.
Well, I look forward to it, Jeff. Joe, thanks. Sorry, man.
No problem, dude. Hey, and they can always follow us, at Two Shots Podcast. And we like talking anything and everything related to the world of sports, entertainment, or whatever else you want to talk about. And you can follow us again at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also on YouTube, which is where I'm going to be posting this video as well. And it's Two Shots Podcast, and it's all spelled out. TWOSHOTS Podcast. So for Jonas Clark, I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you guys for listening to and watching another episode of the Two Shots Podcast. And like we always say, spread the love, stop the hate, and be kind. We're out. Peace.